Yo, what's good? Top of the top, episode 207, Stash House Podcast. Your boy Tyler checking in. First time listeners, thank y'all for tuning in. If you tune in weekly, salute. And it's just an episode, saw some topics you may want to hear about. Salute to you as well. Like, share, subscribe, retweet, whatever you do to help support the podcast. Greatly appreciate it. Podcast available on all streaming platforms, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Anchor app, Spotify, YouTube. Make sure you guys go out, subscribe, follow, put your people on, leave comments, reviews. All greatly appreciate it. Also, if you got TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, I never plug in the social media accounts for the podcast, but at Stash House Pod, at Stash House Podcast, follow me at All Star Marty. Stop asking me why that's my name. I don't know. I just picked it about 12 years ago on Twitter, and I decided to run with it. So All Star Marty, and if you're on YouTube, you can see the @ names at the bottom of your screen as well. And like I said, TikTok as well. I have a lot of fun on TikTok in the comment section. Very intriguing. I love TikTok. Shout out to all the TikTok people out there. So to start this podcast, of course, this is the NBA playoffs first round preview. Of course, throughout the week, upcoming weeks, upcoming months, NBA playoffs will be going on. So every week I come back. Some episodes may not be fully dedicated to the NBA playoffs, but I will give y'all updates on series and all that. So this episode, fully about the first round, my predictions, different storylines. But before I get to it, and I'm not going to be long-winded with this at all, major shout-out to my homegirl, Jamia. If you notice on YouTube and all my social media platforms, I posted cover art, thumbnails for YouTube and just, podcast promo, whatever the case may be. She created the starting templates, and she just threw me the assist. So throughout the next episodes, you know what I'm saying, until the podcast end or whatever, y'all will have cover art for the podcast episode. And once again, shout out to Jamia. She's been very helpful with this podcast process since the beginning, since the jump, and in past episodes talking about it, and I always shout her out on social media. So shout out to Jamia, shout out to all the creators out there, and like I always tell my people, if you want to do something creative or whatever the case may be, if you need somebody just to be a guinea pig, use me, use this podcast, only for positivity. Don't put me on negativity because I ain't with all that. But anything positive, man, I'm here to help. And it's always good to have people in your corner. Before I get to the NBA playoffs again, this dealing with sports, so we do got a big boxing match this Saturday. We got Gervonta Tank Davis versus Ryan Garcia in Las Vegas at the T-Mobile Arena. I'm going with Gervonta Tank Davis. I would like to see a knockout because this is a match that's been teased and, everything within the past couple of years. One of those matches, everybody's like, can we finally get it before they pass their prime, like how Floyd and Manny Pacquiao was. So this is a match that's been going on for some years behind the scenes, and we finally getting it this Saturday. I'm going with Tank Davis. I would love to see a knockout in like round 6 or 7, but don't play with that boy Ryan Garcia as well now. You know what I'm saying? I'm going with Tank, but don't sleep on Ryan. First matchup, we got the number 1 Denver Nuggets going up against the number 8 seed Minnesota Timberwolves. Timberwolves coming off the play-in tournament where they lost the first game against my Lakers, but they won the second game against the Oklahoma City Thunder in great fashion, by the way. It reminds me of the play-in as a situation where at least the lower seed has a chance to gain some momentum before the playoffs going up against the number 1 seed, because it's been days since the Denver Nuggets played, and now you got the Minnesota Timberwolves gaining a little momentum. Some people even had them beating the Denver Nuggets this series, but I'm going to go with the Nuggets in 5. I started to say Nuggets in 4 because, once again, I said a couple weeks ago on this podcast, I have the Denver Nuggets and Jokic as the player and team with the most pressure in these playoffs. But my hopes for them, that they can at least make it to the finals. I personally don't think they will, but that's the pressure I got on them, to the point where I almost had them sweeping this series, but out of respect for Anthony Edwards, Karl Anthony Towns, I think those young guys are ready. So I'm not mad at somebody saying, Minnesota might knock off the Nuggets in the first round. But for me, the Nuggets, it's a lot of pressure on them. I don't personally think they're going to make it to the finals, but I think that's probably number 1 on my list for what do I want to see in the playoffs? I want to see the Nuggets and Jokic somehow overcome the Western Conference and finally make it to the finals. You got a 2-time MVP. He's in the running to be a 3-peat MVP, and y'all haven't even made it to the finals yet. Look a little funny in the light. That's all I got to say. You know what I'm saying? Anthony Edwards, everybody see the star he can become. Karl Anthony Towns, Minnesota coming off being in the headlines these past week. Kyle Anderson, Rudy Gobert, a.k.a. the COVID starter. They got into a situation on the sideline the last game of the season, which caused Rudy Gobert not to be in the first play-in game against the Lakers. Over the weekend, Oklahoma City Thunder win or go home situation. They showed up. Karl Anthony Towns got Jordan Woods by his side. I'm confident he's ready for the playoffs. Rudy Gobert, looking at the doubters, everybody claiming he's soft and everything, and that situation on the sideline wasn't a good look. He's looking to prove a point. They look great against Oklahoma City. I'm not mad at somebody saying, yo, they might can shot the Denver Nuggets, but the Nuggets got to stay on their P's and Q's. But I got the Nuggets winning this series in 5. Next matchup, we got the number 2 Memphis Grizzlies versus the number 7 seed Los Angeles Lakers. Y'all, on one side, I got my Lakers, a team I've been riding with through the ups, the downs, and the extremely downs. Shout out to my Lakers. Y'all know I'm going to start with my Lakers. But on the other side, you got the team who I've been saying since the start of the season is going to win the Western Conference in the Memphis Grizzlies. Ladies and gentlemen, this is why I started a podcast, for matchups like this. So let's get to it. First with my Lakers, of course. I'll admit when I'm wrong. Am I wrong, though? Because I said I was wrong. I was wrong about the Lakers. I said the Lakers are still fighting for a play-in. And when I say fighting for a play-in, I'm talking about we was like number 11, number 12 seed when I was saying this. But the Lakers, they exceeded my expectations. I did not think we would be the number 7 seed at the start of the season back in October. If you would say, Tyler, y'all going to end the season number 7 seed. Really? All right, I'll take it. But I had us what we was a couple months ago before the trade deadline. Number 10, 11, 12, something like that. So I can admit when I'm wrong. First off, head coach, Darvin Ham. First-year head coach, black man, salute Darvin Ham. He didn't fold under the pressure. He did not fold under the pressure. And to be honest with y'all, I've been living under a rock. Yes, the Lakers have been in the news cycle throughout the NBA season, but I don't remember Darvin Ham being questioned on his job status. Not saying that they probably would have fired him, but normally you would expect some heat on the first-year coach. I didn't see much of that. And I got to shout out to the Lakers organization for holding him down this first season. I said it. Yo, don't put too much pressure on this guy. And this was back when we had Westbrook and everything. Do not put too much pressure on him. He's a first-year head coach. And I said it. I didn't think Vogel deserved to be fired, honestly. So I'm glad Lakers management held that down. The media, I mean, you got to shout the media when they doing things at least a little bit, you know what I'm saying? So they didn't bring the heat on Darvin Ham like that. And we found ourselves in the number 7 seed. Went through the play-in, defeated the Timberwolves, in not the most sexiest game, I'll say that. And I'll come back to that game in a minute. But we made it. We made it. We struggled for a bit, or much part of the season, honestly. Trade deadline, we had some things happen, brought some new players in, but we was going through a stretch after the trade deadline when LeBron was out. All eyes on Anthony Davis. And I said a couple weeks ago, you won't hear me say nothing bad or doubtful about Anthony Davis at the moment. He showed improved. Austin Reeves, the role players, they made some things happen. Dennis Schroeder, you know what I'm saying? When D'Angelo Russell came back, we trying to get Vanderbilt going. But overall, the role players, Anthony Davis, Darvin Ham, while LeBron was out during that stretch, we did what we needed to do. And going into this playoffs, this series, continue to do the same. We can make some things happen. Anthony Davis, match Memphis physicality. You know what I'm saying? You got Jaren Jackson. You got the advantage. Anthony Davis has the advantage against Memphis. He just got to show and prove. LeBron, I'm not concerned about. LeBron going to do LeBron. I know that's crazy coming from Tyler, but y'all know I show respect to Bron when it's time to show respect. I'm not looking at Bron as, hey, you got to do – I feel like LeBron's going to – he got the highest IQ on the court in this series, and probably all the series that if the Lakers can proceed on the playoffs, LeBron has the biggest IQ on the court. He's going to do what he's going to do. Anthony Davis, next chapter, let's go, playoffs. You did what you need to do in the regular season, playoffs. And my last thing with the Lakers in this series, I said it once, and I don't think nobody heard me for real. Laker fans, we have a tendency to be just like the Dallas Cowboys fans. I don't know where this sudden confidence, because I had Memphis winning the West. But I'm going with my Lakers in 7 because they my Lakers. But I said it. It's on record. On the podcast, I got the Memphis Grizzlies winning the West. I don't know where this sudden confidence that not only are the Lakers going to win this series, I'm seeing fans saying, oh, Lakers got an easy route to the finals. That's why I just shut up and come on this podcast and record. If y'all have that much faith in the Lakers that they'll get to the finals, please bring me information to support that stance. The finals. Now, this series, yes, I got Memphis coming out the West, but this series, I feel like my Lakers take it to 7, and I've got faith that we'll do what we need to do. I only got 2 teams, y'all. The Ohio State Buckeyes football team and Lakers basketball. So y'all know I'm going to ride with my team regardless. But this confidence that I'm seeing that the Lakers can make a move to the finals, we didn't have the sexiest play-in game to make me even think that. If we went in the play-in and we just looked like fucking 2017 Golden State Warriors, then I'd be like, oh, wait a minute. We done flipped the switch before the playoffs. We didn't gain enough momentum going into the playoffs that I'm going to say we got an easy route to the finals. I'm focused on the Memphis Grizzlies, a team I got coming out the West. You got the young star Ja Morant. You got the up-and-coming star, Jaren Jackson Jr. You got the irritable guy on defense, Dylan Brooks. Ja Morant is going to catch a body this series. So Anthony Davis better watch out. LeBron better watch out. Austin Reeves better watch out. Ja Morant is coming for somebody in game 1 in Memphis. So if you in that paint, you better be on the lookout. I had Memphis coming out the West for a reason. The Lakers, we got to play like we know what we doing. Dennis Schroeder. We got some guys who've been in the league for a while over there. D'Angelo Russell. We not just a young team. We got some guys who've been in the mix. LeBron, AD, of course. We got some guys that can go out there and we can possibly come out this series, but I'm going to say in 7. Out of my respect for the Grizzlies and my love for the Lakers, I'm going Lakers in 7. But I'm very excited about that series. I'm very, very excited about that series. Next series, another one I'm very excited to see. We got the number 3 Sacramento Kings going up against the number 6 Golden State Warriors. I'm going with the Kings in 6, strictly based off their underdog status. I'm going with the underdog this series. I'm going with the underdog. They first playoff series since the 2005-2006 season. About 17 years since we last seen the Sacramento Kings in the playoffs. And it's a little storyline into it. Head coach just won Coach of the Year, Mike Brown. Guess where Mike Brown just came from? Of course, he started in Cleveland with LeBron and everything. And he was a Lakers head coach. But guess where he was just at before Sacramento? Golden State. Also, the Kings got Harrison Barnes, a guy who, if you was tuned in at the time, 2015, he was on that Warriors team that won the championship. That next year when Cleveland came back from that 3-1 deficit, guess who didn't show up? Harrison Barnes. That next season, Harrison Barnes was gone. Guess what? Guess who came in after Harrison Barnes left? Kevin Durant. So it's a little storyline with that as well. And, of course, Sacramento and Golden State, they near each other. You don't even got to fly there. You can drive. So it's a little rivalry, too, with this playoff series. But I'm going with Sacramento Kings, the underdogs. Like I said, Mike Brown, head coach, De'Aaron Fox, Sabonis. I'm not going to sit here and act like I've watched the Sacramento Kings this season because I haven't. But I can definitely tell y'all, going up against Golden State Warriors, on defense, I can tell y'all what they need to do to come out this series with a W. First, that's number one on everybody's board when they're playing Golden State. And the coach probably say, hey, look, I'm going to put this on the board. Y'all might not can do it, but try your best. Contain Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. Because like I said, Golden State is that team you probably don't want to face in the first round strictly because that's when they can catch their groove. And if they catch their groove in that first round, hey, we saw what happened last year. It's hard to count out Steph and Klay. Draymond, Steve Kerr, Jordan Poole, Andrew Wiggins rumored to come back. Hey, Sacramento, time to show and prove. You the underdog for a reason. Yeah, you the number 3 seed in the West, but trust me, a lot of people looking at y'all like, hey, this y'all national television debut for real for this season. I haven't seen Sacramento on national television this season. If it was, it had to be a late Saturday game if they was on in my part of the country, where I'm at in my area, my cable service. I ain't been able to see that many Sacramento King games. Nonetheless, the highlights. So, yeah, Sacramento, show and prove. De'Aaron Fox, Sabonis, Malik Monk, those role players, this y'all test. Welcome to the party. Next matchup, number 4, Phoenix Suns. Number 5, Los Angeles Clippers. I had this Suns in 6, but Paul George not around. Kawhi and Westbrook. Zubac. That star, that heat that the Suns got, man. CP3, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, Aiden. Once again, I think this the series. Aiden got to come out. He go up against Zubac. Aiden got to make a statement this series. I know Chris Paul going to show up. I know Devin Booker going to show up. And I know damn well Kevin Durant going to show up. Aiden, those guys on the bench. Because Kawhi as well on the Clipper side of things. Kawhi, you can make the argument, yeah, he made the playoffs, bubble year. I think he missed 2021. But what I'm trying to say is since that championship with Toronto, I said it before, that Clippers experiment with Paul George, Kawhi, it hasn't really amounted to nothing in my opinion. Playoff appearances, yeah, but for the expectations that was put on them, Kawhi been kind of low-key since that Toronto championship, so I'm looking for him to come out and make a statement. Westbrook, I said a couple weeks ago, and it still stands to today. You don't be hearing a lot of heat from the Clippers locker room like we did from the Lakers. Of course, the Lakers, that was a big storyline, and you got LeBron, AD. Of course, that's a bigger, news cycle story. But I mean, is Westbrook doing his thing over there? Westbrook need to make a statement. And what really killed me this past week, I was watching a lot of Stephen A. content because I just been catching First Take and Stephen A.'s podcast. And he really he said, people don't really think about the teammates Westbrook has had in his career. And I'm not going to go through the list of his teammates, but look at his teammates throughout his career. And you like, whoa, it's a star-studded list. He need to make a statement, though, this year. This is like the last bit of the Mohicans on his list. Of course, he don't have Steph and Klay and Draymond, but Kawhi, add Kawhi to that list that he's already had. Do your research. Interesting topic, but I got the Suns in 5. I don't know if the Clippers got enough power to withstand. Like I said, the Suns, they can be top-heavy, but, I mean, when you got that starting lineup, that bench can fill itself out. But I got the Suns in 5 in that series. Now, let's go to the Eastern Conference. We got the number 1 Milwaukee Bucks against the number 8 Miami Heat. The Heat made it through the play-in the East. I got the Bucks in 6. I'm going to love this series. I love this series. The Bucks and the Heat. Team chemistry, both teams got it. Coaching, both teams got it. people who've been to the finals before, both teams got it, but only one has championship DNA with this current lineup, and that's the Milwaukee Bucks. Giannis, Drew Holiday, Middleton, I believe they say he's ready to go in terms of health. Portis, Lopez. They got the boy that can shoot them threes. I got the Bucks in 6. And the Bucks, once again, I had the Bucks coming out the East. But Jimmy Butler, Tyler Hero, Adebayo, they're going to make it interesting. It is a Bucks versus Heat series. I got it going to 6. I got the Bucks coming out, though, as the victor. Next series, we got the Boston Celtics, number 2 seed, against the Atlanta Hawks, number 7 seed. Hawks made it through the East play-in as well. I got the Celtics in 5, and I'm going to give the Hawks 1. DeJounte Murray, Trae Young. Trae Young, who's rumored to possibly be on the trading block this summer. See how that goes. But Murray, Trae Young, Capella, John Collins, Okongwu, who really showed up in the play-in tournament, I'm going to give them 1. But the Boston Celtics, man, I say it time and time again. Like I said, as a Laker fan, it's hurt me to say this, but, man, Boston really exceeded my expectations as well. Yes, they kept their core, but I just felt like that head coaching situation was going to get the best of them. I was wrong. Boston looks ready. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown going to do his thing, because that's what I was about to say, Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown, he's going to do his thing. Jason Tatum needs to make up for that finals play from last year. So I'm looking at him this first series, make a statement. Marcus Smart, you know what I'm saying, Al Horford. Boston look ready. Boston looks ready. So I'm going with Boston in 5. But I feel like the Hawks can give me at least 1. It's hard for me to say a sweep. You got to give me at least 1. So I got the Hawks giving me at least 1. Next, we got the number 3 76ers, Philadelphia 76ers, against the number 6 Brooklyn Nets. I got Philadelphia in 5. Joel Embiid looks like he on his way to an MVP. I think they can get out this first round to the Brooklyn Nets. But moving forward, my thing with the Philadelphia 76ers, I've said it year after year, I just do not trust James Harden in the playoffs. And I say that because people are saying the 76ers can possibly spoil Milwaukee or Boston chance at winning the East. But in my opinion, it relies too much on James Harden. I feel like Embiid's going to do what Embiid does. Of course, Maxey and Tobias Harris, Doc Rivers as the head coach, they got to play their part. But for things to really work for Philly in the playoffs, I feel like James Harden got to be consistent and show up. Once again, if you do his regular season average, he does his job. 21 points, 10 assists. He does his job, nothing I can say. If I'm coming on here and be very aware, if I say anything in terms of sports on this podcast, I come back and say, hey, I was wrong. I did it with my Lakers. If James Harden shows up in these playoffs and they still lose, I can't say, well, James Harden didn't show up. If Embiid don't show up, I got to say, well, James Harden showed up, but the MVP Embiid, he didn't show up. I come on here and admit when I'm wrong about stuff like this. I'm just giving y'all my opinion. I don't think I can trust James Harden enough in this playoffs to say Philly can spoil Boston or Milwaukee chances at winning the East. But I do have them winning this series. One, like I said, Embiid, MVP year, and the Brooklyn Nets, they missing that superstar. But they got some young guys over there who can make some things happen. They got some things. Ben Simmons, of course, he's not playing. He's ruled out. I told y'all, I even said that. James Harden and Philly won that trade for Ben Simmons. I told y'all that. Okay, Kevin Durant, Kyrie was over there. Okay, cool, but we talking about Ben Simmons. We talking about Ben Simmons. Like, I know who he's going to play with, but I'm talking about the player, not who he's playing with. But Mikal Bridges, Claxton, Spencer Dinwiddie, they got some guys over there, but they missing that superstar. But overall, I got Philly winning that series in 5. I think Brooklyn, with those guys, those pieces, they can probably get one, steal one, catch Philadelphia sleeping in Brooklyn, either game 3 or game 4. Last series, number 4, Cleveland Cavaliers versus number 5, New York Knicks. Another one I'm very, very excited to see. I got the Knicks in 6, but this is really the Donovan Mitchell series. Why? Donovan Mitchell, of course, he was with Utah. Danny Ainge was the executive, or he's still the executive over there at Utah. And when I caught from Stephen A. podcast, he was like, the situation was everybody thought Donovan Mitchell was going to be a Knick this upcoming season. I remember seeing that over the summer on Twitter. People thought Donovan Mitchell was going to be a New York Knick this season. One, he wanted to be a New York Knick, and they thought, okay, Knicks management was going to make that move with Danny Ainge over at Utah. And what Stephen A. said, what happened was Cleveland offered a deal for Donovan Mitchell, and Danny Ainge told New York's management, he was like, yeah, Cleveland just made an offer for Donovan Mitchell. Supposedly New York called Danny Ainge bluff, and he was like, oh, y'all don't believe me. All right. Here, bam, Donovan Mitchell ends up in Cleveland. So New York fans was like, damn, he's supposed to be a New York Knicks. So now they playing the first round series, and Stephen A. was like, New York cannot lose against Donovan Mitchell, a guy who wanted to be a New York Knick just months ago. So I feel like, once again, that energy in Madison Square Garden is going to make for great, great television. But I got the Knicks coming out winning, Julius Randle, R.J. Barrett, Brunson. I feel like they're going to make something happen. But you do have Mitchell who can ball and Garland who can ball. So I feel like that's going to make a great series, but I got the Knicks in 6. Once again, my NBA playoff predictions. Number 1, Denver Nuggets going up against the number 8 seed Minnesota Timberwolves. I got the Nuggets in 5 and looking to prove a point in these playoffs. They got to at least make it to the finals. But this first round, Anthony Edwards, Karl Anthony Towns, Gobert, they're looking to prove them wrong. I'm not mad at anybody got the Timberwolves in that first round, but I got the Denver Nuggets in 5. I have my Lakers in 7 against the Memphis Grizzlies, a team who I predicted to win the West, so that makes for great television for me. I want my Lakers to come out on top, but if the Grizzlies do it, so be it. I got the Kings in 6 over Golden State, strictly based off their underdog role. It's time to show and prove, Sacramento. I got the Phoenix Suns in 5 over the Clippers. I just feel like it's too much power for the Clippers to withstand. In the East, I got the Milwaukee Bucks in 6 over the Miami Heat. That always make for a great series. And I got the Bucks coming out the East. I got the Boston Celtics in 5 over the Hawks. The Hawks got to give me at least 1. The Hawks cannot get swept. If the Hawks get swept, I'm positive Trae Young will be traded this summer. I got the Philadelphia 76ers in 5 against the Brooklyn Nets. James Harden for these playoffs. Once again, will he show up when it's time to show up? And the last series, I have the Knicks in 6 going up against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Look for Donovan Mitchell. I just told y'all what happened throughout the summer. Donovan Mitchell, Garland, they might have something to say about that. This has been episode 207, Stash House Podcast. Make sure you guys go out, have a great work week, a great school week. Enjoy yourselves, drink plenty of water, stay safe, be aware of your surroundings. Keep me in your prayers. I do the same for y'all. Salute.